Hello and a very warm welcome to all the learners and viewers who are watching us in today's session. I am Dr. Geetika S. Johry, faculty at School of Vocational Education and Training, that is SOVT, from Indira Gandhi National Open University. Today we are going to discuss the course on secretarial practice. Learners, I also want to share with you that this course on secretarial practice is also a part of the program on Diploma in Modern Office Practice. So let's begin introducing you to the course on secretarial practice. Secretaries and office assistants play an important and a versatile role in the modern office environment. They are expected to have thorough knowledge of office management and procedures. They need to have excellent communication and organizational skills. Thus, the current business environment is demanding multi-talented secretaries and office assistants. Now, this course will teach the learners the basic nuances of office management that will help them to handle the practical situations in a smooth and effective manner. Offices, whether they are public, government, private or any other type, require assistance and skills of manpower that are capable of handling multiple responsibilities. So this course has been developed in providing a comprehensive outlook for the learners, enabling them to withstand the requirements of the job market. Now here in this course we are going to cover the following: the secretary, communication, office correspondence, reception and public relations, meetings, report writing, sources of information, travel arrangements and handling cash and bank transactions. So let's begin studying the secretary. So what are we going to study primarily in this unit on secretary? Here we are going to take up the meaning and importance of secretary, the definition of secretary, the qualities and skills which are required to become a secretary, functions of a secretary and duties and responsibilities of a secretary. We know that a secretary is the backbone of any organization. He or she is a person who is responsible to do the office work, whether it is administrative work such as making appointments, sending letters, dealing with correspondence, organizing official meetings and events, etc. Their duties may vary according to the nature and size of the company or organization, the type of organization, whether it is public organization or private organization, government organization or any other kind of organization. Secretaries need to have a very good communication skill as well as correspondence aspects, which are very important for the growth and goodwill of any organization. So let's begin with defining the term secretary. The meaning of secretary as given in the Oxford Dictionary is one whose office is to write for another, especially one who is employed to conduct correspondence, to keep record and to transact various other business for another person or for a society, corporation or public body. Actually, we can say that the term secretary is derived from the Latin word secretarius, which means confidential office or the keeper of secrets. So since the word conveys an idea of secrecy, initially the title secretary was used for officers handling confidential correspondence for kings and high dignitaries. But now we can see that the job profile of the secretaries has changed. Though one of the primary duties of a secretary is still to handle confidential correspondence, he or she is supposed to perform wide range of varied duties from conducting correspondence, keeping records, writing minutes of proceedings of the meetings, collecting and supplying the required information to acting as a public relations officer. Now let us understand the different types of secretaries. So there are many types of secretaries. They can be secretary of a government organization or department. They can be secretary of a club or association. There is secretary of an embassy. There is secretary of a local body. There is secretary of a cooperative society or union. There is company secretary and then there is private secretary. However, learners, we have limited our study to the last type, that is private secretary. As we have discussed above, private secretary is a confidential assistant to an executive. She or he is also known as personal assistant at a junior levels. She or he is usually designated as stenographer also. Now during the course of the study, the word secretary is used for different hierarchical levels of secretary, which can be as a stenographer, as a personal assistant, as a private secretary, as a principal private secretary, etc. Now let us understand the meaning and importance of private and personal secretary. Now a private or a personal secretary is a person who is employed to assist an executive in carrying out his duties efficiently, to whom the executive can delegate most of his routine duties and whom he can trust and entrust confidential matters. The main purpose of employing a private or personal secretary is to save the executive from as many details as possible, to keep his day smooth, and to give him enough time to concentrate on more important work rather than, concentrating on the routine type of work. Now, private or personal secretaries, they play a very significant role in the conduct of business in the government or professional, commercial, industrial, or any other kinds of organizations. The success of an executive, it mainly depends on the competence of his private secretary. The secretary attends to the time consuming details of the work of the executive and, helps him to do his job more efficiently by concentrating on important policy matters and the managerial functions requiring his personal attention. So it is very aptly said that there is always an able secretary behind the able executive. Now let us try to understand the attributes and role of a personal secretary. Now, to become a competent, successful secretary, one really needs to have certain attributes or qualities, or we may call them skills. So let us discuss the qualities and the skills which are required, by a secretary. The first is sound knowledge. In order to perform varied secretarial duties, a secretary should have sound knowledge. We know that the purpose of education is to impart knowledge. It is important that a secretary has completed his education up to the desirable level as per the job profile or as per the job market. A junior level secretary may start his job with the basic level of education, that is senior secondary level, with a diploma or a degree in secretarial practice. Now, in the rapidly changing world, secretaries should keep themselves, updated. For this purpose, they require an increasing knowledge through education. Apart from this, secretary should also have general knowledge about the various areas. He or she should have knowledge of the recent developments in politics, whether there is any development taking place in economics or social fields, and at the same time, he should also be aware about the national and international events. The next skill or the quality required is secretarial skills. So we know that knowledge alone is just not sufficient for becoming an efficient secretary unless one has professional skills. So a private secretary should be a master of basic secretarial skills. She or he should be proficient in stenographic skills, in word processing skills, computer applications, drafting correspondence, filing and mailing, etc. Then comes communication skills. Mostly what happens that a secretary, he or she, they act on behalf of the executive. So the words which they are spoken by them, they are treated as if they have been communicated by the executive himself. So a significant portion of his work is based on communication in all forms. All forms means written in the form of correspondence, verbal while dealing with visitors or other members of the organization. It can also be electronic like email, telephone, or in any other forms like video conferencing, etc. So to be efficient and effective, a secretary should attain proficiency in language as well. Then comes the organizational skills. A secretary holds a key position in the organization. Since she or he organizes the various activities on behalf of the executive, proficiency in the organizational skills is a must for a secretary. To be a successful organizer, he should be a good planner. We can say he should be a very good event management planner also, and then he should be very methodical in implanting all these. All this is required, along with this, good decision making skills also are required to become, a very good secretary. Then we discuss about the personal qualities. Now, some of the personal qualities which help a secretary to be effective professionally would include loyalty. See, loyalty is the most significant quality for a secretary's job. Faithfulness, as it is also called, is expected from secretaries working at all levels. Secretary should be dedicated to his or her job. He or she should be able to perform his duties honestly, sincerely and diligently. Then comes discipline. Secretary should be a disciplined person. He or she should be punctual, should always be available at his or her desk. So this not only applies for secretary, but it applies for everybody in life. Everybody has to be disciplined and they have to be a role model. Then the next is alertness and attentiveness. A secretary should listen attentively to the instructions, orders, suggestions and advice of executives and perform all the activities accurately and efficiently. Another personal quality is adaptability, which is also called as flexibility. A private secretary, should be adaptable to all kinds of people, situation and problems. He or she, should inculcate the habit of adjusting with different types of persons. Because, when you are coming across, when you're in this kind of a job profile, you come across different kind of people, you have different kind of situations. Some situations can be very simple, some can be very complex. So you should have this adaptability, flexibility, this kind of a quality, so that you are able to adapt all kind of situations. Then is cooperativeness. A secretary should be cooperative with all members of the organization. Now, organizations we can say are successful only when there is efficient teamwork, and teamwork depends on the cooperation among the team members. Then is courtesy. A secretary should be polite and courteous while dealing with the members of the organization as well as outsiders. The use of words, such as please and thank you should be always made. Then is tactfulness. Being tactful enables the secretary to deal with difficult matters in a very simple way. It is the personal skill in saying or doing what is required by the circumstances, the ability to handle the difficult situation in a right manner. Another quality which is required by a secretary is pleasing voice. See, a pleasant, clear voice is always attractive. A loud, demanding voice is unattractive. A very low voice makes communication difficult. So, a secretary should have well controlled and pleasing voice. Then comes etiquettes and manners. See, manners are expected, there are social behavior. So, a display of good manners is essential requirement for success in all walks of life. Not only from the perspective of a secretary, but even as we as a person, we should have good manners, we should have good etiquettes when we are, in front of anybody else. Maybe when we are in the society or in the social environment, we have to have the good etiquettes and manners. Then is good appearance. As it is rightly said that appearance creates the first impression. A secretary must be well groomed, he should be alert, wide awake, should be well dressed, neat and clean. The next is personality and poise. A secretary should have well developed personality which can create an impact on the other people. By poise we mean getting along with people without feeling superior or inferior. It comes from knowing one's ability as well as limitations. Poise enables the secretary to be at ease and to make others feel at ease. So, learners, till now, we have tried to cover the meaning and importance of secretary. We have tried to cover the definition of secretary. We have tried to cover, the types of secretary, the attributes and roles of a secretary. Now, we will be taking up the topic functions and duties and responsibilities of a personal secretary. Now, in the modern business world, the ways of working are changing at a very rapid pace, and so is the profile of a secretary, which has also got changed drastically, we can say. Now, world of work has changed from manual typewriters to computers, letters to emails and mobile messaging and so on and so forth. Earlier, a secretary used to type the letters, on manual typewriters, and in case of any alteration, the same needed to be retyped all over again, and he was supposed to follow the instructions of the executive and was doing only what he was told to do basically. But nowadays, he performs delegated functions involving use of discretion. So secretaries to top executives perform, duties which require higher secretarial skills. So let us now discuss some of the high level secretarial skills or duties which the private secretary need to perform. First is to present the concise information required by the officer when he has to conduct important meetings or interviews, to handle emails and messages, to draft reports and speeches for meetings and workshops, to supervise the junior employees and their training, to act as a liaison officer, to locate information on different topics consulting related officials, to link the rules and regulations as per the demand of various cases and working situations, to advise the executive on personal and other matters in relation to office machines, equipments and stationery, to manage the office when the officer is away. So, we can say that an intelligent, able and experienced secretary enjoying the trust and confidence of top executive exerts considerable influence and plays a very important role in the management and administration of the organization. Therefore, today's secretary, we can say that they may be termed as manager's manager, because they have become decision maker instead of being only an instruction follower. However, as said earlier, the actual position of a secretary will depend upon the position and the status of the executive for whom he or she is working. So the executive's willingness to delegate the work and responsibility and the personality, ability and intelligence of the secretary and his willingness to assume duties and responsibilities. Now let us now discuss what are the duties and responsibilities of a personal secretary. What are the duties which have to be performed by them? So it will again depend upon the size and nature of the organization where the secretary is working, the status and position of the executive from whom he or she is working, the ability and the intelligence of the secretary, and the executive's willingness to delegate work. If we talk about small organizations, there the private secretaries, they have to perform a wide range of duties. But whereas in large organizations, there are various other categories of office workers to perform many of the routine duties. Because in large organizations, each person has a job profile, to do. So secretaries, they do their bit of task over there. A secretary, when working for a junior executive, may be required to work as a receptionist or a stenographer, etc. Whereas a secretary to a top executive, he may be required to perform duties which require high secretarial skills, such as collecting information on different topics, drafting reports and speeches, writing down the proceedings of the meetings or seminars, and advise the executive on different matters. So we can see that the role of the secretary is really changing when he is working for a junior executive or when he is working for a senior executive. Now what are the kind of duties? Now we've been discussing them in very general, but now let us be very specific as far as the duties of a secretary are concerned. First is the routine office duties. This would include typing and stencil cutting, taking dictation and transcribing the same on computers, handling inward and outward mail, filing of routine papers, handling confidential matters and documents, maintaining records of incoming and outgoing files, operation of office machines and their maintenance, etc. Then comes duties which are in relation to meetings, such as these would include preparation and issue of notice and agenda, making seating and other arrangements, keeping ready all the papers required at the meeting, providing assistance to the chairman in conducting the meeting, taking notes of the proceedings of the meeting, drafting of the minutes, communicating the decision taking at the meeting to the concerned people. Then we have their duties as a receptionist. This would include placing and receiving telephone calls, mobile messages, fixing appointments for the executive, maintaining appointment diary, memory aids, receiving visitors and dealing with them. Then there are certain other kind of duties such as arranging and planning tour programs of the executive, whether it is departure or whether it is arrival, then preparing his TA bills, filing his income tax returns, locating information from various parties, arranging for lunch, dinners, sending formal messages of condolences, congratulations, greetings, and so on and so forth. So learners, if we really want to sum up, we can say that private secretaries, they are the backbone of any organizational structure. The primary duty of a secretary, is basically to handle confidential correspondence as well as to perform a wide range of varied duties like handling office correspondence, whether it is in the form of electronic or whether it is in the form of traditional. So, in fact, a private secretary, we can say he is an executive assistant who works on behalf of his or her boss. Here we have also tried to learn about the various duties, the skills and qualities of a private secretary. That is, he should have sound knowledge, he should have professional skills, he should have good communication skills, he should have organizational skills, then he should have personal qualities, which include his he should be loyal. That means he should be, punctual, he should have basic etiquettes and manners, he should have a very pleasant voice, then he should be very tactful, or he should be like, very diligent in doing his work, and so on and so forth. Many qualities of the secretaries, we have also tried to, personal qualities we have also tried to learn. But we can see in the changing world, the profile of the secretary is also changing at a very rapid pace. So instead of an instructional follower, he acts as an advisor on personal and other matters. So today, as we just said that, we have tried to cover unit on secretaries, where we basically learned about the definition of secretary. We learned about the meaning and importance of secretary, what are the different types of secretaries we have learned here or discussed. Then we have also discussed about the different attributes or the qualities and the skills which are required to become a good secretary. Then at the same time, we have also discussed about the duties, responsibilities, and we can say about the functions of a good secretary. So hope learners, you have enjoyed today's session. In case you have any query, you may write to us at gitikajhori@ignou.ac.in. Thank you.